But masculinity in its core essence is strong. It is divine. It is purposeful, and we can reclaim it. And I think terminology like toxic masculinity is damaging. We might want to look at it a little differently. We might want to use terms like immature or boy psychology as opposed to man psychology. And this points at something that we miss a lot of the time, which is where does a boy become a man? And the answer to that question is really hard to define because it's not a biological age thing. It's more of a stepping into being a man. I've said this quote before, and we had similar conversation with Kayla McDevitt on the podcast around the dynamic shifting between the masculine and the feminine in the workplace. But in that podcast, I mentioned this quote that a woman is and a man must become, because there's lots of men that should, in theory, be men because they're over a certain age. They hit 25 or 30, but they almost act in that boy psychology. They never fully grew up. They never fully stepped into being a man. And we need to go through some kind of trial and tribulation, some kind of rite of passage. And we see in ancient cultures that this was always inbuilt into life. And we ask ourselves, what are the rite of passages in modern culture right now? And they're lost, they're devoid of meaning. It's go to college and see who can drink the most, and see who can bench the most, and see who can sleep with the most women. And you can see very quickly that that's not what a man is. That's not coming of age. That's not being in that divine masculine energy of leadership and safety and structure. But because we've lost that thread and we've lost that initiation, you end up with a culture of men that have grown up and they look like men. They look like they're in adult bodies and they do adult things, but they're stuck in that boy psychology. And it's very different to say boy psychology versus toxic masculinity. Because if we're a boy and we understand we just need to grow up and we need to seek this adversity, we need to seek these challenges, and we need to step into the fullness of maturing, as opposed to the associations around calling something toxic, which is just inherently bad. If something is toxic, then yes, you don't want to be it. And it puts people in a very strange position. Because on one hand, if you embrace your masculinity, if you step into that, one side of the aisle is going to call you an oppressive patriarchal monster. But if you relinquish your masculinity, you're going to be left weak and docile and purposeless and probably repulsive to women. Because, shocker, women do want men and women do need men. Hello friends, if you enjoyed that clip, then you can watch the entire thing by heading to this link over here, or you can find us wherever you find podcasts by searching Radical Health Radio. If there's value here, please hit that like button, let us know in a comment what your biggest takeaway was, and hit subscribe, support the show as we support you. We'll see you soon.